Hello, and welcome back to Brit Reviews It All. Today I'm going to be talking about Teen Wolf, the movie, which you can find on Paramount Plus. So I signed up for the free trial. I've never gotten Paramount Plus before, so I was able to get the free trial through my Amazon. Um, so, of course, I've never said anything about it before, but I am a major fan of Teen Wolf. I had been watching since season one, um, when it was on MTV, all the way through to the end. My favorite person, I just loved him like crazy, was Stiles. He was my favorite. I will say I was a little bit sad that he wasn't in the movie, even though they kind of hinted around to him several times throughout the movie, and you just kind of held on to that hope, or I did anyway, that maybe, just maybe, he might make a surprise appearance, that they might hit us with a little twist that we weren't expecting, but no, did not happen. However, the movie overall, I feel really good about it. I was excited to watch. The majority of everyone, they were able to come back, and I thought that they, did really good. I didn't realize that what was going to happen was going to take place within. It seemed like it might have been one day or one night or two nights or something of that nature, but it wasn't like completely like drawn out like a series would. Of course, this is a movie this time. Um, I was I thought it was really crazy. Sorry, y'all. It's my phone. I have a lot of noises going on. You have the people outside, they're doing the yard. And then you have my washer is going off. But I have a limited amount of time to do this because I have errands to run today. But I really wanted to record this video before I got going. So, like I was saying, I thought it was so freaking cute that Derek is a father in the movie, so this is years down the line. You can tell that, hey, they're bringing back the characters. They are no longer in their younger teenage years anymore. So I thought it was so cool to be able to see everyone. Mr. Stalinsky, he literally looks just the freaking same, like to me. Um, but everyone, they had everyone. So now, going with the movie, we start off. There's Liam on the scene. He's in Japan. Um, Looks like he's working at some type of bar with his girlfriend, obviously, because you could tell something was going on there. They weren't just co-workers. They were actually seemed to be in a relationship. I believe I was correct on that. And they were protecting something all the way in Japan. So we have this strange character that just comes in out of nowhere, and of course, immediately we are all thinking, okay, who the heck is this person? Um, I thought it was gonna be a surprise. Oh, pull the hood down, a reconnection type of scene with Mason. I mean, not Mason, Liam. But it wasn't. It actually turned out to be the bad guy, one of the bad guys in the movie. So they do this whole little fight scene. The girlfriend, which I do not recall her name, I'm not gonna even pull it up, but whatever. Um, she takes off running. Liam, he's getting ready to, do his whole wolf thing. But I'm like, okay, so from the time, because the whole bar at this point, they stood up, guns in hand, and whoever was in there was good enough to be able to escape that, pass up Liam, and hit the back door to chase after the girl who has the where they are holding the jar with the Nagitsune. I'm probably saying it wrong. I never said it right. I'm not even tripping on that. You watching and you're a fan, you know what I'm talking about. So that jar was holding the Nagitsune in it. Um, so when I watched that scene, I was like, okay, between all of y'all, how did he still have enough time to get after her, to, I believe, did he shoot her with something? I'm sure he did. Again, I watched it once. I'm sure I'm going to watch it again. Shot her with something. So he was able to get out of there fast enough to get right behind her, take her down. Whatever it was bad enough to to wound her. She's a kitsune. Um, it was bad enough to wound her to the point where she was out on the ground, like she couldn't get up. Here comes Liam behind, and then in true Liam form, it's like, I don't know, he annoys me as a wolf because his instincts are like completely the frick off. He goes, he does his whole wolf thing, and then he goes to go after the guy, jumps, and then all of a sudden that gives the guy no time to go boom with the thing and takes him out. So now he's down. I'm just like, Liam, we're how old now at this point, and you are still not helping. Not helping. So all of that happens. This character, the bad guy, gets a hold of the jar and was able to speak to the Nagitsune and make up a deal. And then there you have it. He releases it. Okay, so now we jump forward to where we have Deacon. He is doing something, I don't know, where they are saving animals, saving people from, disasters and whatnot. And so he uses Scott to call in every now and then, and it's Deaton. Yeah, Deaton. Calls in Scott, the alpha, to come in to assist. So this little girl, she was stuck in a building that looks like it had collapsed. Something happened. Dog is down there with her. The dog obviously sees someone is trying to come in to and bit the firefighter or whoever that person was. I believe it's a firefighter. So they call in Scott. He comes. He helps out. He's able to get the little girl out of there in time, and still he's able to get out of the building before everything completely collapsed on him, because it really almost did. Okay. So now we find out Scott is he's handling the animal clinic, but they are not in Beacon Hills. No one is in Beacon Hills. His mom is still there. The sheriff is still there. They're all still there. But everyone else, they have left. So now, fast forwarding to where we have Scott, we have Deaton, and we have Allison's father. He comes in. I'm sure I'm going to skip around on some stuff. It's okay, because I'm going off of memory. He comes in, and now all of a sudden he's saying that he's been having visions. It's Allison. Scott is like, I've been having the same thing. He's like, it's getting more real. I think she's stuck. I wrote out a word. Scott's saying he did the same thing. And then they piece together that they're going to have to basically do some kind of a ritual to bring Allison from the in-between because she's stuck. Okay, so we got that part. Now, back over in Beacon Hills, which you know what, I said everyone left, but they didn't. Derek is still there as well. He's there, and come to find out he has a son. I thought that was the cutest freaking thing. I thought he was going to be like this hardcore son, like how Derek was just very like, but his very much kind of gave me the same vibe as Stiles, which was very crazy. He basically stole Stiles' old Jeep that was kept at the Hale garage, or whatever, fixes cars and whatnot. So he stole the car. Now they are at this point, all of the police force, they have been investigating some arsonist that's been setting fires in the woods, and in the midst of doing that, Derek's talking to the sheriff, and they find out, he finds out that his son has stolen the Jeep again. Boy, he's driving down the road, he's trying to be cute, whatnot, think he's fly. All of a sudden the tire's going flat. He gets out, he realizes, here comes Derek coming around from the back of the car. He's like, put the car flat, and then the police is like not that far behind. So we get that whole thing. So it's very cool to see how Derek's son is like this quirky, almost kind of nerdy kind of like boy, and then you're kind of seeing how Derek is trying to figure out how to be the father, like how to help his son get through, this whole weird teenage phase. Also accepting that he's a freaking werewolf, he's a wolf. Very interesting to see this side of Derek. Overall, we all know at this point that the Nagitsune is out. Deaton was able to piece together super super quick that the Nagitsune had taken over Allison's dad, which why I can't ever remember this man's name. Da, 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 da. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. I really want to say it right. Chris. Okay. So it's Chris. Allison's dad's name is Chris. But the Nagitsune had taken over his body to basically trick them into going back to Beacon Hills to do that ritual. Now, in the process of doing that, at this point, Lydia, she has been, her something's been happening with her as well. Find out that on some report or some kind of thing that she did for work, she literally had passed out these folders to everyone to talk about a project, but she literally on every single piece of that project, the name Allison was wrote everywhere. So that was another thing. So she gets pulled back into the fold. Now, while they are all out, they were able, and even Jackson came in, he came back, he helped to piece together what Lydia drew in her office. She tapped into her powers. He helped piece it together. How freaking crazy is that? Because when I think of Jackson, I think of him as a dummy. Is that bad to say? But I really kind of do. Like, it's this dumb jock. I do. Sorry. So for him to be so nonchalant about it too. He gets all of the pages because they're all meeting up to put this together. Pieces everything together and realizes that he was like, oh, okay, this is a treat. What Lydia drew. It's a treat. And then they're looking at it from the floor. They're looking at it and said, no, it's not just the tree. It's the tree. So it's like, oh Lord. As we know, nothing good comes from this tree, because if they were to do something, any type of anything, it has consequences, and Deaton always has to remind them of that. He even said that to Chris and Scott when they were all saying, oh, it's Allison, we gotta go get her, she's out reaching out for our help. So there's that. Now while they are out, they went to the woods to go find the freaking tree. Deaton, at this point, he's realizing they're not even in Beacon Hills yet, but Deaton and Chris, he meets up with Chris because he's realized, okay, something's not right about him, and I believe it's in the Nagitsune. So he starts going with the riddles, and he's able to bring it out of him. And Deaton did something and knocked the Nagitsune out of Chris's body. It flew off. Now, at this point, the phone reception at the location that they are in the woods, there is no phone reception, so they were unable to even call to say, hey, don't do it. It's a trap. They didn't even get to do that. So we were like, okay, we get it now. So then the Nagitsune had to use that to be able to trick them into doing what he needed them to do. So they go. They do everything. They didn't think it worked. They leave. As they're walking off, something happens with the tree, and then all of a sudden Allison's body appears. So they grab her, they take her, because they're like, we don't know what to do. They take her to the hospital. At this point, Scott runs into his mom, and she just realizes, okay, so you're back in town, you didn't even tell me. So that happens. They go take her in the hospital, get her situated. Now, not too long after they took Allison, the Nagitsune went to the tree and went inside of it, and then a whole bunch of those little I call them lightning bugs. A whole bunch of those little things came out, and so we know that this is not good, because out comes this freaking. I'm sorry, the Nagitsune is hideous, okay? Hideous, creepy. They did the best, and I mean, they did a really good job of making this thing really creepy, okay? Very scary and weird. Um, so that's happening. They don't even know it yet because at this point they think we've done what we came to do. And I'm like, but y'all always have to remember what could be the possible consequences of doing what you just did. Um, so all of this is going on. Now, they're talking to them. They have Allison in the room. They're talking to Mrs. McCall. And in the process of doing that, they're like, she literally disappeared from the room. They saw her in the bed 1 minute. They turned her head. They look like she's gone. Okay, Allison wakes up. She doesn't know where she's at. She doesn't know what's going on. They start spreading out looking for her. Then, as they're kind of coming, they find her and whatnot. Malia gets knocked the frick out, knocked on her tail. And that's when they realize that Allison does not remember them. When Allison woke up, she pretty much was looking, still thinking that Derek was the alpha. She was basically looking for him, Derek Hale. She takes off. She's able to escape the hospital. She even if when she ran into her dad, which is Chris, a real dad, she didn't, it did nothing register. So they're all like, okay, so we don't know what to believe when it comes to Allison. Now, overall, the Nagitsune was able to find a Kisune to retrieve the tails from that in order to get all of the Oni that it had. It needed those to help with the plan. Now, funny thing is, a lot of times, and they say it all the time in the series, they mentioned that you could be a fox and not know it. And the freaking cop that was left at the station by himself, he turned out to actually be one, which is why he was drawn to Beacon Hills in the first place. And then the Gitsune was able to get to him and steal the Oni. So at this point, all of these things are going on. Sidebar, Mason actually turns out to still be there as well. He's working for the freaking police office now. So that's that. Let me see. Who else? Um, yeah. So all of that is pretty much still going on. So everybody's trying to catch up. It's like when I was looking at the movie, it was like everything was happening over here, something's happening over here, something's happening over here, and then it's like everybody's just doing all of this, and it's like, all right, y'all are really trying to fit things that were spread out, similarly spread out throughout a season. You're trying to pack it into a movie. That couldn't have been easy because, like I said, I felt like something was going on over here. Then somebody was like, well, yeah, we need to go do this, and we need to go find, we have Malia. We need to go get all the silver that we can because that's the only thing that works on the Oni. Then they have to leave and go do that. Then you have freaking Lydia and Jackson. They're trying to solve the case of whoever this person is that's the arsonist, which turned out to be the chemistry teacher or whatever. I don't know if that was the actual class. So his neck was all healed up and stuff, so I'm assuming he never died, but he was supposed to be dead, but he was not. So he came back and he was out for revenge on everyone. So he was the one that has been helping the Nagitsune. All of this has happened at this point. I mean, overall, they pretty much had to basically band together to out trick the Nagitsune as usual. The freaking hooded figure or the teacher, he basically helped build the trap. So he used that stuff and trapped them inside of the where they were playing lacrosse. Trapped them in there. So when it came to who was in there, because pretty much the Nagitsune had Allison's mind warped and wanted her to kill Scott. So she pretty much brought Scott onto inside of the place and was going to lure everyone else in there. The Oni was able to get to basically everyone that they needed to get to and bring them to this like other world within the Gitsune's world or something like that, and that's where they were trapped in that. Because it's like when you saw that and then you saw them disappear into just disappear, it's like okay, so they're not dead, but they're being taken somewhere, right? Um, Kind of weird to explain. I'm gonna try to go through this the best way that I can without confusing myself. So now while they are the crowd, it's a whole game going on top. Underneath, or the illusion of, they are actually, that's where everyone else is. Now, they have to pretty much, once Scott is able to convince Allison and get her to listen, to reason. I mean, he pretty much had to make her basically almost kill him. Um, and she finally heard him out. At this point, she still hadn't remembered everything, but she knows, okay, so there's something about this guy. I know I felt something when I stabbed him. It's something that it's not registering, so I'm missing something. So this happens. He was able to convince her to see to reason, heal him of the wolf's bane that she has stabbed him with. It was laced, the knife that she had was laced with it. Um, Mind you, and just doubling back, Allison freaking used the arrow and caught Derek right in the neck. Derek, I mean, he gets the worst. He gets it the worst out of everybody, if you ask me. Then, immediately after that, she did chase after the son. Scott went, retrieved the son. Those two had to run off. He sent him one way, and then he lured Allison, and that's how they ended up in that situation. And there's that. The son went back to the house, met back up. He saw his dad. Blah, there we go. Everyone's there. Scott is still out with Allison, trying to convince her to remember who she is. Now, the Oni come. They take everybody that was in that house at the time, minus Malia. Did they take Malia? Yeah, minus Malia. Malia was able to escape only because she did something with the light, because they come in the night. She opened a window and she did something and the light came in and then they disappeared. So that's the only reason they didn't take her. Now, and also Malia and Parrish, interesting connection. Now anyway, so all of this is going on and they finally get there. Jackson and Lydia, they are arriving to the stadium. They get held up on the outskirts of it. It's a border. Border has been put up. Jackson tries to hit the stuff. I forget what it's called. But if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So he scoots it with his foot, comes right back into line. It doesn't move. It's ash. I believe that's what it was. Something like, I can't remember, y'all. But and they realize, okay, this is really bad. That means everyone is on the inside of there. Now, Scott's able to finally get around to Scott's able to come around to be able to talk to the coach. Basically saying, hey, you need to get this game, you need to cut this game, it needs to be done, it needs to be over with, because you're going to have a lot of lives, a lot of blood on your hands. We have to do something. Like, what do you want? Also, I have to go back and look at it, but somehow the son, Derek's son, he was able to get out. He was able to get out. And what's his name? He was able to get out and let me see. Eli. That's the son's name, Eli. Eli was able to get out. And then he was able to notify, and he actually ended up being smack dab in the middle of the field, on the field. So Scott, and mind you, the other people that are in the Nagitsune's world, they can hear what's going on up there. So Scott was able to get a hold of them, both of them. They were taught. He comes up and he's like, yeah, the coach is like, well, you need to play. And I'm like, can he do that? Like, you're trying to win a championship game And you can't just put a non-student in a game and say, here, play. But they did it. They finished the game. Eli did great. Claps for Eli. Rooting for Eli. So that happens, and then they're like, okay, so everyone, they're leaving. In the midst of that happening, Peter, who also returned in his true self, he was about to, because they at this point they were thinking Allison is like an illusion. Come to find out, she wasn't. And the Nagitsune come and they pretty much get everybody. They get everybody except for Lydia and Jackson. They're down, stuck at the barrier where with the chemistry teacher, and that's when he's revealed. So they're down there, they're fighting. Scott's able, I'm trying to remember everything. Let's see if I can. Scott is able to do his thing as normal. He always finds a way, doesn't he? Somehow they were able to, he basically said that I will let, and this is going to get somebody talking, I will let everyone go, but Scott will have to die. If you do not kill Scott, I'll kill every single one of these people. Okay. Scott looks at Allison, because Allison is who didn't get samples telling to kill Scott, and said, you have to do this. You do not let me watch my family die. Okay? The ones that he loves, don't let him watch them die. So she shoots the arrows, and mind you, at this point, she has remembered everything. She remembered everything. So that's even more tough to have to basically do the opposite. Him die in her arms. Because they kept saying that. She does it. Shoots him 3 times the arrow in the heart. And so the Nagitsune is like, oh, you know, I won. Yay. Okay, whatever. Right. Now, all of a sudden, and the Nagitsune asks Scott a question. What is the sound that a wolf makes when they're ready to die or something like that? And Scott's like, well, I'm not ready to die. All of a sudden, the arrows burn away. And then he looks very much unharmed. What I didn't realize, and I couldn't remember that this was possible, but the fox hopped over into Scott and protected him from, so that way those arrows, it did not work on him. Now when this happened, he stood up. I thought it was so freaking cool as heck to see the fox over him, and then it comes out of him and goes back to y'all know her name. Liam's girlfriend, that's her name to me. But goes back over into its rightful place. And I was like, man, that's so freaking cool, right? Gitsune gets angry, of course, and has and then they have a moment. So now, once that happens, you have everyone coming into play. You have the Oni. They are ready to fight, and everyone with silver, including Mrs. McCall, which I didn't know she was fighting now. You have Chris. You have Peter. You have Parrish, because he breaks through and brings them in. He had to turn into the Hellhound to break through. And Malia got on his tail so bad and was like, I'm not going to be your cheerleader. But in a way, Malia, you kind of did boost him up. And it brought it out of him, and he did what he had to do to get everybody in. So they're in there. They're fighting. They're taking them out one by one. Once that was done, the Nagitsune felt so freaking defeated. Allison shot him in the head with a arrow. Did not work. Okay? So this happens. And at this point, Eli and Derek, they have a moment, which I thought was so freaking cool. They had a moment because they had to get Eli to break through his fear, right? So they both did their whole wolf thing together. I thought that was so freaking cool. Father and son. And broke Derek free. Then they went, broke everyone else free. And this is how everybody was able to participate in the fight scene, by the way. See, I'm trying to remember the fight scene in order, but it's very tough when you've only actually seen it one time. You didn't take notes, but I'm trying. I'm trying. Um, so everybody's broke free. Then the fight happens. There we go. Then come to find out, I couldn't recall where this came from and how this happened, but the Nagitsune said something to Scott about him giving him some type of a wolf power or something, and I'm like, well, what? When did this happen? Did it's something I forgot about? Sure, it's a lot of things I forgot about, but he was able to, and why? As if he needed to look any worse, he pulled the freaking mask off, and it was like, ugh, why? Y'all found a way to make the Nagitsune look even worse. So you turned him into a wolf. So now he's a wolf. Um, and then in true fashion, as a little wussy that he is, he felt like he knew he needed to split them up because he wouldn't be able to fight. Now, another point that I'm gonna make: we have Scott, Derek, and Eli, who has just now tapped into his wolf self, who has not fully wolfed out like at all, right? Because he faints. Um, him. Where was Liam? Hmm? Where was Liam? Why he didn't jump in as the fourth wolf? I'm so confused about that. But okay. So it was just us three minus Liam. And well, okay, I'm gonna keep going. And so the Nagitsune separates them into different rooms, illusions. They realize this is an illusion. This is not real. It's another illusion. And I love that they did the rooms by the color of their wolf eyes. I thought that was so freaking cool. I caught that immediately. The Nagitsune was like ripping them up one at a time. But of course, that was so whack because you was sneaking up on them like, come on. But then again, what they do, they outsmart them. They said they were able to find each other, and when they did that, they tapped into their senses, and they all got a hold of the Nagitsune and brought everyone back into where they were. They were standing on top of the tree, right? The root of the tree. Now they're fighting, and then the Nagitsune throws Eli off, so he's on the ground. He's off. Once this is happening, Parrish comes into play, and they're like holding him down. They're holding him because they're like, we got to get rid of this thing. Now, once this happens, and this is a moment where Derek looks at his son, and then he looks at Scott and said, you're the true alpha. Basically said, watch after my son. And so he knocks Scott out the way, and then they tell Parrish to light it up. And there it happens. And then kapoof. And in the end, Parrish is the only one left on the tree. Now, I'm sorry. I love Scott. Love him. However, the actions of you, Lydia, and Malia brought about the Nagitsune, okay? Actually being able to bring himself out in his true form and not possess anyone, okay? So y'all did that ritual, and y'all helped him do what he did, in my opinion. I think it was really freaking sucky that Derek, as usual, sacrificed himself for something that somebody else did. He didn't have nothing to do with that. He was in Beacon Hills trying to raise his son, okay? But that is my opinion. Everybody might not feel that way, but that's how I feel. Sorry. But in the end, it ended up pretty much how I knew it was going to happen, because they showed us something earlier in the movie where Scott was feeling a little bit some kind of way about not really having that family thing going on, the wife and the children, and tapping into that part of himself. So when this happened, I knew, okay, what's going to happen is him and Allison are going to get back together, which I'm happy about that. And then he's going to take over guardianship of Eli and raise him because he's the true alpha, right? So sucky. that happened to Eli, like for real. But they wrapped it up pretty good. Still no Stiles. Um, did a memorial service for him. In the end, the freaking teacher, we find out that they are actually sending him to House. And I'm wondering if that's going to leave the door open for another something. Even at the very end, they showed where it was Eli in the woods and they showed him do his wolf eye thing. I'm really wondering if they are leading us into a possible new series, Teen Wolf, where it's going to be Eli as the wolf navigating through high school and through his wolf, growing into his wolf self. And then also having Allison and Scott in the picture as his parentals. But I'm very interested to see where they are going to take this or if they're going to leave it like it is. But yeah, so all in all, I would say it was a really good movie. I would definitely watch it again. But my only thing, I hated that Stiles wasn't in it. Kira's like, I mean, I guess it would have been nice to kind of have her pop in, and help out with the fight scene. Um, that would have been a cool. Um, and then Liam, like, come on, dude, step it up. Even Mason was doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. But let me know what y'all thought about it. If you have watched it and you enjoyed it, let me know your thoughts on it, whether you liked it or not. If you haven't seen it and you're into like movies and TV shows regarding werewolves, take a look and see if it's something you like. So, with that being said, I would like to thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back with more reviews on different things that I try or like. Bye, y'all.